I love what I do. I'm happy to play here, and that hunger won't subside. It'll be maintained because I just love playing.
Here is the fully rewritten report version, written in continuous newsroom reporting language, no headings, no bullet points, no conversational YouTube tone, only a clean, serious, professionally reported narrative. The trade activity between the Boston Red Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals has now developed into one of the most persistent and defining transactional themes in Major League Baseball, continuing a pattern that has been constant since the 2025 trade deadline. The latest move only deepens that connection, as the Cardinals and Red Sox have completed another significant deal, sending veteran star Willson Contreras and $8 million in salary relief to Boston in exchange for pitching prospects Hunter Dobbins, Yhoiker Fajardo, and Blake Aita. The move once again places both organizations under heavy scrutiny, while simultaneously illustrating just how aggressively both franchises are reshaping their rosters and competitive identities. Contreras joins Boston with a reputation already established as a powerful offensive contributor, a respected veteran presence, and a player who now carries unexpected defensive value after transitioning to first base. At 33 years old, entering his age 34 season, Contreras is viewed by Boston as a player who can elevate both performance and stability. His recent season demonstrated a rare combination of offensive potency and surprising defensive efficiency, posting 6 outs above average defensively while simultaneously maintaining strong bat speed, elite barometrics, and meaningful home run production. Despite a noticeable decline in chase discipline and a reduction in walk percentage, the underlying offensive power remains intact. Boston views that production as an immediate asset rather than a declining liability. Financially, the Red Sox inherit a large portion of the remaining contract, which extends significantly into the future, but St. Louis's willingness to include $8 million indicates an organizational intention to transition away from expensive veteran commitments in favor of replenishing long-term pitching infrastructure. The Cardinals appear to be aggressively restructuring rather than soft retooling, and this move further confirms that strategic direction. Contreras' offensive tendencies make him an ideal fit for Fenway Park. His escalating fly ball and pull percentages suggest a hitter increasingly suited for exploiting Fenway's dimensions, particularly the Green Monster. Boston expects his power to translate fluidly into its already promising offensive system, which includes emerging young stars such as Roman Anthony and strong supplementary hitters capable of forming one of the more dynamic lineups in the American League. Boston views this as an opportunity to add immediate production while maintaining flexibility in how the lineup is structured around both aging veterans and evolving younger core pieces. However, this trade also forces Boston to confront difficult internal questions. Tristan Casas' future becomes complicated, given his persistent health uncertainties, defensive liabilities, and inconsistency staying on the field despite possessing rare offensive upside. Evaluating whether Casas should remain, transition into a designated hitter role, or become part of a future trade package is now unavoidable. Other potential ripple effects exist, including what this means for Jarren Duran, whose performance trajectory and trade value continue to generate external speculation. Boston not only improves in the present, but simultaneously triggers strategic debate regarding how their roster will now evolve as they consider more moves. The Red Sox continue to operate with ambition rather than hesitation, with additional high-profile acquisitions still very much in their conversations. Boston maintains interest in bolstering both rotation depth and elite positional security, holding open possibilities involving Chris Bubich, Alex Bregman, or Bo Bichette, depending on how the trade market evolves. This is not simply a singular transaction. It is part of a broader and calculated organizational transformation designed to push Boston into legitimate contention rather than incremental improvement. The Cardinals side of the deal represents a different story, rooted in organizational restructuring rather than win-now execution. St. Louis has leaned heavily into pitching reinforcements, prioritizing controllable arms with developmental upside. Hunter Dobbins stands as one of the central pieces of the return. Though he is viewed variably by evaluators, his pitch mix, velocity profile, and potential development under a Cardinals pitching infrastructure historically known for refinement present clear intrigue. St. Louis believes its environment may unlock levels. Dobbins was not afforded sufficient opportunity to reach in Boston's rotation depth. 19-year-old Yhoiker Fajardo represents arguably the most compelling component of the return package. Possessing elite velocity capability, impressive strike zone control, and a rare 0 home runs allowed across 75 innings last season, he is perceived internally as a possible future rotation pillar. High spin rates, youth, and rapidly developing command elevate expectations around him. The Cardinals did not simply acquire filler prospects. They acquired arms with legitimate potential to reshape the organization's competitive core. Blake Aita offers reliability over overpowering dominance, with command and contact management forming the basis of his pitching profile. He represents stability, depth security, and a controllable contributor who may evolve further with continued development. St. Louis is unmistakably rebuilding, doing so more transparently than in past seasons. They have stockpiled Richard Fitts, Brandon Clark, Dustin May, and now multiple additional arms, while also still possessing internal prospects expected to anchor future competitiveness. The Cardinals appear determined to correct years of pitching decline, recognizing that organizational identity lost its foundation when pitching excellence disappeared. Support from the fan base will depend on whether this rebuild produces winning results rather than organizational rhetoric. The move naturally forces focus onto what comes next. St. Louis now acknowledges that its direction points toward transition rather than competitive denial. Nolan Arenado's future now stands under renewed speculation, alongside other valuable trade chips such as Brendan Donovan and possibly other high-profile pieces. Arenado's name and legacy maintain trade value even if his recent production has slipped. Around the league, multiple clubs continue to track potential Cardinals movement closely, anticipating that St. Louis's commitment to roster restructuring may lead to additional seismic transactions. This trade strengthens Boston immediately while strengthening St. Louis strategically over time. It reinforces Boston's aggressive push to build a contender and underscores St. Louis's willingness to dismantle established structures in exchange for youth, pitching depth, and long-term security. Both franchises are navigating pressure-filled periods in their histories. Boston seeks to rise back into legitimate championship contention. St. Louis seeks to rebuild its foundation so the franchise can eventually return to its former standard of excellence. The dynamic between these franchises, shaped further by the presence of Chaim Bloom and the echoes of past Boston decisions, has become one of the most fascinating trade narratives in baseball today. What began as periodic exchanges has now turned into a consistent transactional corridor, linking two franchises now deeply entangled in reshaping their identities. This latest deal is not simply an exchange of players. It is a statement of direction, a shift in competitive posture, and another defining step in the ongoing evolution of both the Boston Red Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals.